Why Judy Blume Matters. I felt so stupid when it hit me. I fucking forgot Judy Blume. We live in interesting times. Women are currently scaring the bitches out of people by doing something very non-dramatic and mundane, telling it like it is. You wouldn't think that would be so threatening. And yet, women in this culture are insidiously stalked by two questions: is it just me? Which is always closely followed by her dark twin sister, wait, am I crazy? All day and night, everywhere you work, play, drink and have sex, you wonder, is it just me? Wait, am I crazy? You just don't know unless someone else tells you how it is. Lately, all around the world, women are starting to compare notes and realize that wait, no, it isn't just us. No, we aren't crazy. It's a massive relief, to be honest. We thought maybe we were crazy. When I was a young indie musician being grilled by journalists in dank dressing rooms on a daily basis, I found myself curating a nice, economical, and, I hoped, sufficiently impressive, list of influences. Relatable enough that I could seem worldly and intelligent, but obscure and cool enough that I could ensure my freak cred. So, yeah, The Doors, The Beatles, The Cure, Bertolt Brecht. And the slightly more off-grid artists, Wim Wenders, Nick Cave, the legendary Pink Dots, Hermann Hesse, the great Korean Buddhist writer Sung-san. In time, I started to list the more, embarrassing ones. The Thompson Twins. Wham! If I wanted to really humiliate myself, the soundtrack albums to Cocktail and Gulp, Miami Vice. Rock Bottom, the original cast recording of Cats. I cannot lie. I know every word. It wasn't until I was in my early 30s that I noticed, with a strange sense of betrayal, that my list was nearly 100% male-fronted. And I realized something else: I had totally forgotten Judy Blume. I'd done worse than erase her from the constantly trotted out influences on my songwriting. It hadn't even occurred to me to take her into account as a contender. I noticed that when Lady Gaga came on the scene, she made the same move. The topics of Madonna and other female pop divas were carefully avoided. She pointed straight at David Bowie and Freddie Mercury. Course. They're cooler and more credible somehow. They're men. Women are really good at telling it like it is. It's one of our superpowers. women are really good at telling it like it is. It's one of our superpowers. When we do it. Unfortunately, our ability to look around, shrug and tell it like it is unlearned from the time we are first shushed as children, and girls have it particularly rough. We are told not to take a genuine interest, or pleasure, in our own anatomies. We are taught that our vaginas are smelly and gross, that a period is a curse, that our bodies will be objectified and rated on a scale from 1 to 10 no matter where we turn, that our own body hair is offensive, that we are, basically, foul and imperfect unless we do a ton of work to make ourselves acceptable, mostly through buying a ton of unnecessary shit. Before the age of 13, I'd read no less than a dozen works of fiction written by Blume, yet her work was such a part of my everyday diet that I might as well have touted the influence of water, or Honey Nut Cheerios. And every single girl in America read Are You There God? It's me, Margaret, and then again, maybe I won't as a standard rite of passage? As it turns out, no. I was goddamn lucky those books were part of the usual fare on the shelves of my public middle school library. My sudden guilt at age 33 about omitting Blume from my influence list led me to finally Google her, because I had no idea who she actually was. And, I learned, Blume wasn't just a standard library author, she was one of the most controversial American authors of the century. Her books were, and are still, banned by public schools across America. As I was blissfully reading her books on summer vacations in Massachusetts, assuming that teenagers the world over were doing the same, administrators in other states were calling her a witch for writing about teenage sex, menstruation and masturbation in a way that was, you know, kinda nice. I'd had no idea. Perhaps the biggest compliment you could give a writer or a writer of youth fiction is that they're so indelible they vanish into memory, the way a dream slips away upon waking because it's so deeply knitted into the fabric of your subconscious. The experiences of her teenage characters Deanie, Davy, Tony, Jill, Margaret are so thoroughly enmeshed with my own memories that the line between fact and fiction is deliciously thin. My memories of these characters, though I'd prefer to call them people, of Deanie getting felt up in the dark locker room during the school dance, of Davy listlessly making and stirring a cup of tea that she has no intention of drinking, of Gil watching Linda, the fat girl in her class, being tormented by giggling bullies are all as vivid, if not more so, as my own memories of kissing Stephen Lee in our elementary school's auditorium closet atop a pile of gymnastics mats, 4th grade, of being teased by Micah Curtin for being too flat-chested, all of 6th and 7th grades, or of discovering that an empty plastic ice pop sheath makes a pretty good dildo when filled with warm water, summer of 8th grade. And believe me, it was a truly great summer.